Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Comic Talk. I'm here, the Cube, and I'm here with
Alyssa.
And we're talking about Green Lanterns number 11, written by Humphreys and art by Roy Chun Leiston. So I'm gonna do a little recap on this past few issues, so you guys get a better idea what's going on in this one. So it follows this guy Frank, and he really wants to be a Green Lantern, and he basically watches many other people around him become Green Lanterns. He watches Hal Jordan become a Green Lantern. He sees, John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz. All of them become Green Lanterns. Not all of them exactly deserving of it. And he has to just sit back and watch them. And every day he trains physically and he tries to train mentally. And he's like, I am Green Lantern material. And one day a Green Lantern ring comes to him. And then immediately, right before he gets to put it on, it's like error, wrong person, and it leaves. The ultimate tease. It literally comes to his door, to his person, and it does not choose him. It leaves, and it breaks him. But what ends up happening is he meets this guy named Volthoom, who is one of the original Lanterns. When the Lanterns were first created, he was one of the first.
Ooh.
And he's a bad guy now because basically the Guardians of Oa kind of turned on him. Mm-hmm. So he decides, I need someone to do what I need, because I can't do it myself, because I'm basically a ghost for anything. Mm-hmm. for most things. So he takes Frank, and he tells Frank there's this thing called the Phantom Ring, and it doesn't choose. You choose the ring. Anybody can put on the ring and become any color of any lantern. It doesn't matter: green, blue, violet, indigo, orange, red, yellow. I don't think he can become black or white, though. Those two are way out of his reach. But what ends up happening is Frank takes it and he becomes a Green Lantern at first, but what he doesn't realize is that it controls all spectrum of his emotions. So coming to this comic, he decides to do a few things. He decides to become a superhero. He flies around and he saves this kid from a tornado and his dog and his dad. And he's like, yeah, I'm a superhero. I did all these amazing things as a Green Lantern. And Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz show up and they're like, what are you doing? You're not a hero. You don't deserve that ring. It didn't choose you. You stole it. Mm-hmm. Because when we find out in the last few issues, he steals it from them. A Guardian is defending the Phantom Ring. And Frank basically causes a distraction so they all have to leave. And he takes the ring for himself. And what ends up happening is Simon and Jessica try to stop him, and they end up on the news. Basically, he's being interviewed for saving this kid and his dad. Frank is, and Jessica and Simon are like, that guy's a criminal. And Frank is like, wait, so you, Simon Baz, who was already in prison once, got to be a Green Lantern, so you're already a criminal. And Jessica Cruz, you can't even make a good construct with your ring. She's having a really hard time using the ring to make actual weapons. Mm-hmm. She can make flowers and things like that, but nothing to fight with almost. I know, exactly, right? So what ends up happening is they interviewed on the news, and you realize that Frank is very good at kind of manipulating people.
Frank isn't wearing a mask.
He isn't wearing a mask. He doesn't care. But neither is she. Jessica just has
something over her eye.
Yeah, but you could still tell who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, John Stewart doesn't wear a mask anymore, like he used to when they first invented him. But in the old Justice League show, John Stewart never wears a mask. Oh, yeah. Guy Gardner never wears a mask, who is the ginger Green Lantern.
I thought they had to wear masks.
No, they don't have to wear masks. They're think of Green Lanterns not as superheroes, more like space cops. Would you want a cop to wear a mask?
No.
There you go. So not all of them do, but a handful do. Got Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner. So what ends up happening is Frank basically kind of manipulates the news people to oh man, these guys are what makes these guys any better to be Green Lanterns? And what ends up happening is they start kind of toying with his emotions, they're like, man, you don't deserve to be a Green Lantern, you're less than a Green Lantern. But what ends up happening is what Frank doesn't realize is that the ring enhances all of his emotions. So when he gets a little angry, he becomes very angry. Mm-hmm. When he gets a little jealous, he becomes very jealous. So what ends up happening is it starts kind of tearing at his body, messing with it physically and mentally. And at the end of it, he realizes he just doesn't want to be a Green Lantern, or he wants to be a Green Lantern, but he wants it so bad, it's greed. So he becomes an Orange Lantern at the end of it. And it's a whole nother spectrum they have to deal with, because the thing is, lanterns kind of bounce and reflect off of each other, in terms of color. So if you're a blue lantern, you can charge green lanterns. That's one of their things, and it kind of depowers yellow lanterns. But if you're a Yellow Lantern, you can like discharge a Green Lantern. Like Green Lanterns can't be around Yellow Lanterns; it makes them weaker. So it's like all this, like, you know, they kind of like bounce and reflect, kind of like types and things like that. It's a little hard to explain, but you get the idea. And what ends up happening is at the end of the comic, he becomes an Orange Lantern because he realizes he doesn't just want a Green Lantern ring; he just wants to be powerful, and that changes from the power of will to the power of avarice or greed. Avarice is the way they like to describe it in the comic.
Yeah.
But what's really funny is that like there's a lot of things that can play into this, because since he can be an Orange Lantern, the original Orange Lantern, there's only one of him because he's greedy. He doesn't give the power to anyone else. And his name's Larfleeze. Okay, he has a really weird name. Larfleeze. Larfleeze. And what ends up happening is what I'm gonna assume happens is Larfleeze is gonna come because how dare someone else have an orange ring? So I'm really interested to see where they go with this, because now that he has any color, where it's gonna start tearing at his mind, it's gonna start tearing at everything.
Who do you think is stronger if the Larfleeze comes? Like, who do you think will win, him or the other one?
If he stays like an Orange Lantern, I think Larfleeze will win because Larfleeze has more experience as an Orange Lantern. But the thing is, I don't know if because we see that he kind of he kind of has an idea of how to control the ring when he's a Green Lantern, because he can make like a baseball glove and things like that, which shows that he's not totally useless with the ring. So he could put up a really good fight, but we don't know that. We don't know yet. So I'm really interested to see where they take this. I'm really thinking that Frank he can really kind of come into his own, because I like the idea that he can use any of the colors. But I don't want him to become a villain just for this comic alone, and then he disappears into the fold of obscurity forever. I want Frank to become a recurring villain. Wouldn't it be cool if he just left Earth right now and he was like, I'm just gonna become a space cop all on my own. I'm gonna do my own thing in space. Wouldn't that be awesome to see him like do his own thing? So I don't know what's gonna come of it, but I really hope something magical happens. So I'm the Cube, and I'm here with
Alyssa,
and this was Comic Talk. We will talk to you guys later.
bye.